This is Hollywood. Matías Bombal with you. Paramount Pictures brings us yet another of the Transformer movies. The fourth in the series has the additional title, Age of Extinction. Michael Bay is the driving force behind this 3D epic summer blockbuster to end all blockbusters. And the $165 million feature, which is also playing in IMAX presentations in IMAX theaters, is an overwhelming experience that clocks in at a long 2 hours and 45 minutes without an intermission. We start out in the Texas home of tinkerer Mark Wahlberg, who, not unlike Caractacus Potts and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, is a frustrated barnyard inventor. The design of the house and barn is very reminiscent of the classic children's movie with Dick Van Dyke mixed in with the hoarder elements you find in the television show American Pickers. There's an increasing black market for working electronics and machines, and it is this way that Mark Wahlberg, as Cade Yeager, hopes to finance raising his teen daughter following the death of his wife. He decides to go with his pal to forage for junk in the city ruins, one of which is a derelict movie palace. At this point in the movie, to be frank, I died a little. Having worked so hard in my own real-life experience trying to preserve as many of these American palaces as I could, to see this gigantic behemoth of a theater in such ruin distracted me from the story. Michael Bay is making a poignant message here. The glamorous and wondrous age of the movie palace and the elevation of the theatrical movie experience has indeed become a fossil itself in an age that no longer appreciates it en masse. He taunts us with the decay of the theater's abandonment, made that much more real as it was no set, but the actual, gigantic Uptown Theatre of Chicago outside and in. As we venture through its decay, machines, seats, and rubble, Cade finds a large big rig on the stage and buys it for $150 to bring it back to the farm to tinker with.
Covered!
Are you working with lasers? If so, I'm not coming in.
You guys have never seen a truck like this before. Get in here. Lock that door.
It doesn't have a lock.
Look at the hole in the radiator. Look at the size of it. Something blew a hole in it.
Yeah, so?
It's not normal steel. The shrapnel in the engine, it ripped all the connections apart. And watch, and this took some K genius. You are gonna love this. Want to hook this back to a working battery?
Calling all 101.
Oh yeah. I don't think it's a truck at all. I think we just found a transformer.
You may see there why I find it similar to the workshop in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Cade's daughter there is played by pretty Nicola Peltz, who you may have seen on television's Bates Motel. Cade's pal is played by T.J. Miller. As Cade tries to convince the two that he wants to fix this thing, which is naturally illegal to own, director Michael Bay, whose Pearl Harbor I really enjoyed, continues to drill us with images of the death of film. As we see in Cade's shop, a late 1940s carbon arc super simplex 35mm projector, rusted solid with a peerless Magnarch carbon arc lamp house, not unlike the one from this vintage catalog page. While his daughter and pal are telling him to stop his hoarding ways, he holds at different moments two different anamorphic theater projection lenses. The first, a black Carl Zeiss lens, just like the one I'm holding in this photo in the booth of Sacramento, California's Colonial Theater. He later has a mortar shell-shaped Super-Panator anamorphic lens, just like this in his hand. But I digress into the whistles only dogs can hear category. Back to the story of the movie. Would you believe at this point the story, photography, and performances which had my attention dissolved as the movie changed into a CGI smorgasbord of rapid movement and dizzy action for the feature's last 2 hours? Who's in it? We have in a good turn as a bad guy, Mr. Kelsey Grammer. Stanley Tucci has fun with his role in a good performance, but aren't all of his. You'll hear the voices of John Goodman and Ken Watanabe as two of the Transformers. The preview audience had been lined up around the entire theater building at the advanced screening I attended, and they waited there for 5 hours before the doors opened to get in. They seemed delighted with it, but I found the 3D effect a headache-inducing problem for such a long viewing time with no rest or intermission. The rest of the movie is overloud and ridiculous, with some noticeable continuity errors. Here's a scene where Cade meets Kelsey Grammer as Harold Attinger.
Mr. Yeager, who do you think I work for? You're trying to protect your family. That's admirable. I'm trying to defend the nation from alien war. We've had a taste of what that looks like, and we are not going to tolerate another. Now, there is a version of this conversation where you get to go back to your barn. Your daughter gets to graduate with honors, and life as you know it will go on. You have no idea what you're involved with here.
Really? What's the other version of this conversation? Who you sending the hired help to murder my little girl? Or are you gonna man up and do it yourself?
What's your preference?
My preference would be to get my 2 hours and 45 minutes back, but that's now irreversible. This is strictly kid stuff and expensively produced for maximum wow. But frankly, it did nothing for me but give me a headache. I guess I recall that more gracious transformer of the movies I loved as a kid. After all, it was also a car that turned into a boat and a plane, and did it with delightful musical numbers. Transformers 4, The Age of Extinction, is aptly named. You may become extinct during the long running time. I would imagine the die-hard fans of the series would benefit from seeing it in an IMAX presentation, which I did not. However, IMAX's realism might have just done me in. This is your pal, Matías Bombal, bidding you a fond farewell.